Good morning, lovely people of Earth. I hope that you're having an amazing day. I'm happy that it's springtime. Beautiful, wonderful spring. Today I would like to talk about what Kundalini feels like. I was skeptical. I used to hear stories about feeling the energy move, and I used to think that I knew what that meant. I used to believe that it was more spiritual and ethereal, and that it wasn't so visceral or so real as people claimed for it to be. I couldn't wrap my mind around something energetic such as the Kundalini energy being a physical feeling. But I will tell you, when it starts to move, it is so obvious that it is Kundalini energy, and it's so recognizable, and so it feels like a ball of energy moving around in my body, or like like right now I am feeling it in my belly, in my, I guess, sacral chakra, and I can intentionally move it to, now it's in my throat, and I can feel like a tightness and like like as if something is physically there, like the muscles are working or flexing, but I'm not doing anything different with my throat. I'm just consciously moving that energy. And it took a while, a couple of months, to get that sensation. I didn't have it at first, but it feels amazing. It really is a real sensation of like a ball, or like almost like a painless cramp sometimes. But it manifests for me in different ways. I feel a burning up my spine very often, daily actually. I can feel it right now. It's like a tingling, burning sensation that's not painful. However, sometimes it is uncomfortable. It feels like a tightness and like a squeezing. And actually, when it first started happening, I was like, oh my God, what is this? I've made doctor's appointments, and actually I'm still following through with that, even though I'm almost 100% sure that they're not going to find anything, because it would be an awfully huge coincidence that I'm undergoing this process of raising my Kundalini, and this happens to be some sort of disease that manifests in the same way that Kundalini energy traditionally manifests in the body. I'd be really surprised. But stranger things have happened, so I'm getting it checked out. But it's such a real feeling, such a physical, real feeling, that I'm going to a doctor to be sure that there's nothing wrong. It's very, very physical. In my body, I can feel not only the energy moving, which sometimes is very pleasant. Yesterday I did a meditation, and I could actually feel the energy start in my root chakra, and it felt like actually very similar to the head of a snake. That's what I could kind of visualize and feelize in my body. I could feel like something kind of moving in a serpentine type way up my spine, and it felt like something solid moving up, and then it would get to my crown, and then I'd feel pressure pushing down, and then it would go down. And the down movement, for me anyway, is very different. This isn't the first time it happened. It's just yesterday was particularly intense. I was meditating for a long time, so that kind of increases the sensation for me when I can sit in meditation for a long time. And some days are more intense than others. And I found that has to do with diet and how I'm eating and how I'm feeling. But anyway, I digress. The downward movement, the upward movement feels very solid and very much like something moving up me. some kind of ball of energy. The downward movement feels more like a shower of energy throughout my whole body, coming down, and it's not so concentrated in one area. Also for me, I get pain in my lower spine and in between my shoulder blades. It moves, so sometimes it'll be like back pain in where my solar plexus chakra would be. It'll be tight and sore, but most of the pain for me is where my root chakra would be, right on my tailbone. And that, I find, coincides with days that I'm tired, that I'm feeling kind of spacey and not grounded. And I always find that grounding helps. Eating a heavy meal, which is kind of hard for me because I eat pretty much plants. That's what I eat. But if I eat a lot of nuts or anything heavy, it will ground the energy for me. But also getting outside and touching the ground, actually physically touching the ground, doing chores, housework, anything like that will alleviate the pain. And it's real pain. I was on a flight to Texas and I was having to sit for a couple of hours and I cried. It was pretty intense pain. I've never had back pain before, so it's new for me. My daughter. Anyway, the Kundalini energy is a very beautiful feeling for the most part. When I can sit with it, okay, so let's back up a little bit. Some days I feel it really running through my system and it's tingly and it kind of feels like it's stretching and my fingers feel numb and I feel like my head has a lot of pressure in it and like I'm lightheaded and a little bit dizzy, and it feels kind of like a current of electricity running to all parts of my body, kind of emanating from my spine. That's uncomfortable. When I have to live with that and kind of function in my daily life, I have trouble because it can be actually hard to walk sometimes because it's like I can't feel my legs the way that I normally can, and sending the message from my brain to my legs takes a little bit longer. And I really think it's because the busy signal is on, because this Kundalini energy is working its way through me, which is why I'm having it checked out, because MS also does that, and I'll keep you updated. I'm going to bet money that it has nothing to do with MS. Anyway, so I'll also have times of paralysis, which is another traditional Kundalini symptom. I never would have believed this. If you would have told me that Kundalini would manifest in this way, I would have thought that it would be very subtle and maybe like I'd feel like tingling in my fingers, but I sometimes literally can't move my hands. And there have been times where I've been sitting on the ground and I cannot move my legs at all, like they're dead, completely dead. And it's usually only a few seconds. But on those days where it's intense, especially, if I can sit and meditate with it, it is the most beautiful feeling, indescribably beautiful. It feels like the ball, sometimes I can feel like an actual concentrated ball of energy moving up my spine, but a lot of times it's just a huge opening and expansion in my chakras and in my body in general. And it will actually feel, especially in the root chakra, which is interesting because I've always been someone who lives in the upper chakras. I'm very interested in spirituality, very interested in yoga and meditation, and I think a lot, I read a lot, I spend a lot of time up here in the head. So for me to work on the root chakra is new, to be grounded like that. So when I'm focused on the root chakra, especially in my meditations, I'll feel this opening and it will actually feel like I'm flying, like I'm floating. And it's almost surprising to open my eyes and still be on the couch. There's definitely a sensation of like I lost the ground. and it's just gone. The ground is actually not beneath me. Very interesting. If you didn't know what Kundalini was and you were just sitting down and that happened to you, I can understand why anybody would freak out, which is why like the spontaneous Kundalini awakening, to me, it would be super scary. I'd be like, what is going on? Because it's so real and it's so not something that I'm making up. I couldn't like cause it to happen. The only way that I am ever able to influence it whatsoever is when I relax. When I can be present and still, the energy moves more freely and more intensely. And during meditation, it's never too much. It's always just the right amount of energy, and it's moving perfectly and beautifully, and I'm feeling all these openings and pure love, and I'm really into the present moment. And it feels like huge expansion, almost like I lost my body. I don't have a body anymore. And I'll feel like my hands will be like this on my lap, palms face down, and they'll feel like they're facing up. I sometimes feel like my head is floating. Other sensations that I've experienced are feelings of tightness, which is interesting, and I'd like to explore like what that means. But you know, I have the expansion, and other times, especially in my throat, which I have thought of as maybe my throat chakra is closed, which would make a lot of sense. It'll bunch up and it will tighten and get really tense. And then I'll notice that like the next few meditations, I'll actually, that's the area, whatever area was tight before, I'll feel a huge expansion. And it's sort of like the way that you would listen to your body. Like if you're doing yoga or exercising and you feel like super tight, you would stretch more in that area. Like you have a tight hip, you'd stretch more and you'd be gentle with yourself, but you would push that spot into more flexibility. It feels the same way for me. Like I get this tightening in my throat and I'm like, okay, I need to work more on that. I need to spend some extra time breathing in and out of this area and working on opening that area. And I'll keep breathing into it until I start to feel like a tingly sensation, and then it will kind of expand and open. Sometimes it gets so open, whatever chakra we're talking about, that it feels like it doesn't even exist. It feels like it's so big that it's just the entire world is my throat chakra. So then the throat chakra disappears. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. I felt sensations of gas, but I don't mean like I have gas. I mean like almost like helium is moving through me, and certain parts of my body will like I'll get the sensation of that expansion, that sensation that physically happens in your body when you do have gas. It'll feel like a gas bubble in my heart chakra is like expanding, and like I'm not about to pop, but about to I guess just get really big, just keep expanding, and it will feel light and like it's floating. A lot of floating sensations. A lot of tight and then expansion, a lot of tingling, tons of tingling. And the tingling and the numbness and the paralysis that happens intermittently is uncomfortable and difficult to deal with, and honestly I can't wait until it's over, because it just makes life tougher. I'll be in the middle of doing something, the middle of climbing the stairs, and I'll have to stop. And I've actually heard of people having to be in bed while this phase of the Kundalini awakening is happening. They actually can't function in their lives. So that's been interesting, and I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I have like had trouble walking and with balance, and I'll get dizzy and lightheaded. And the other thing that's very interesting is extreme sensitivity. I'll sleep, and I don't mean just sensitivity emotionally and mentally. That happens too, for sure. But physically in my body, touch will feel, the blankets will touch me at night on my back, and I'll be like, oh, like I can't even deal, I can't sleep, because everything that touches me, the breeze blows, and it's like just too much. And that is also difficult to deal with, but I understand it. I understand why it's happening. I know that it's due to the Kundalini, so it makes it more tolerable to know that that's what's going on, because this is something that I want. It's something that I'm causing to happen, that I'm working on intentionally every day. So it's a sign of growth. It's kind of like when you're pregnant and you get morning sickness. It's like, yes, everything's healthy. There's a lot of hormones in there. It sucks, but you know things are going well. So that is what is happening, and that's what the Kundalini energy has felt like for me. Sometimes it feels like the nerves are standing on end. We'll go to restaurants and I'll feel like just overwhelmed by everybody talking, and too much light, too much, it's too much, and I'm feeling ultra sensitive. And that's all the physical sensations, and the mental, emotional, kind of spiritual sensations are very different, and I'm going to do a whole video on that. I just wanted to talk today about the physical sensations. I'd love to hear what your experiences are. If you want to email me, if you want to leave a comment, please do so. My email is in the description below. Like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, give me some love. I love love, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.